which is connected through an API, an application program interface, to go to YouTube, and they're setting up redirecting to YouTube, which is nice. I don't have to be outside of anything. Okay, so I have that. I've live streamed, I've recorded, and this meeting is being transcribed. So what more can I ask? Okay, so let's talk about all our classes before spring break. You guys know when spring break is. You know better than what I know. But when is our exam? Who can tell me when our exam is? Raise your hand if you know when our exam is. Okay, Scarlett, when's our exam?
March 4th.
March 4th. In person or online, Scarlett?
In person.
In person. We get to meet in person, and it's in the School of Business, and it's in the computer lab. So our exam will be on the computer lab's computers. But guess what, Scarlett? Can you imagine anything going wrong with hardware? Of course, right, Scarlett? There's always something going on. So we always have to think for alternatives backup, right? What's a good way to back up? Everybody bring their laptop. Hopefully you won't need your laptop, but just in case, you want to bring your laptop and you want to download the latest version of Respondus onto your laptop. So just in case, you have your laptop there that we can use. What do I also do, Scarlett, is we have a special staff from the School of Business that are in charge of maintaining that lab. Do you think it's all those computers work 100% of the time, Scarlett? Yes or no?
No, they probably don't always.
No, they probably don't. And so what I have is my illustrious lead TA, Lily, take the initiative and check all the computers ahead of time to see, are they all connected to the network? Do they all have responders? Can we all get into Blackboard? And inevitably, I think, Lily, have we ever had 100% compatibility? It's no. So
No.
Lily and my other TAs have made a list, send it to the IT staff, and they said, no problem, we'll take care of it. And notice when I hear no problem, what do I know, Scarlett? There's going to be a problem, right? But we adhere to it. Luckily, we have more computers than we have students in the class. So we usually are okay. But guess what? I request, and they are gracious with me, I must admit, they are gracious with me, that they bring their IT staff in the beginning of our classes to make sure everything's up and running. Because guess what, Scarlett? Do I have control over those computers? No. Do I even have authority to connect them to the network? No. So I need their help. They have the authority to do that. The other thing that we always want to do is in security and backup and controls is that we want to authenticate everyone. Just like I say, unless you get special permission to show your face in this class with your name underneath to make sure you are who you are, right? And you're with me for the entire session in order to get attendance. The same thing is when you're going to come to the lab for this, that you need to show some pictured ID, right, Scarlett? So you'll bring your pictured ID, plus you'll need to log into the network. And when you're logging in using your own computer, your password is already incorporated into your system, into your own computer. But guess what? You're going to be using another computer, so make sure that you know your password, right? A lot of times I'm not even sure. I have it already in cache, so I just say use my password. But you know, my passwords change depending on accounts. So make sure you have that, right? And then Lily was graciously going to be proctoring and also leading all my other proctors. Is she will even have a list where you will, sign in, sign out to make sure, that you're there and we have everything set up. And guess what, Scarlett? We always think about things going wrong, and then that way we take a couple of deep breaths and we're not too concerned because we have backup procedures. And that's the same thing with you, that stuff happens, right? All of a sudden, whatever it is, you take deep breaths and you're prepared. So next week, what we'll do, people were asking me about the exam. Next week, we'll start giving out the study guides. The better, people that are more conscientious want to start early, everybody kind of is concerned about exams, right? And the exams will be on the computer. And as I said before, I'm such an advocate of AI. Other professors may not. I'm an advocate of using technology in the classes. I'm an advocate of you during my classes to use your phones and use your computers. And I want you to prepare using AI. But in the exam itself, we'll be on a computer, but at that time, it will be timed. It will be closed notes, closed internet. It will be all based on your mind. So there'll be two parts to the exam, Scarlett. One will be just like your quizzes, multiple choice, true, false. You'll take that. There'll be about 60, 65 questions there. I will allow you, when you start that section, you can go upwards, backwards. You know how sometimes I want to be able to check my work. You can do that. And the other part, the second part of the exam, is open-ended. Open-ended questions about the readings, open-ended about, we've had all our assignments, open-ended about giving examples. You remember, I'm a big believer is who cares? How is this going to help business? How do you see it in the university? So in that case, there could be so many, Scarlett, so many different kind of questions that I could do. It's like enormous. So what I'd like to do is give you 8 to 10 questions ahead of time, and I will choose 2 to 3 questions for the exam. You understand that, Scarlett? So it won't be so overwhelming. When you take the open-ended, you will not say, oh, I never knew she was going to ask that. That came from who knows where, and I can't even go to ChatGPT to figure out what that means, right? That I always do. So I'll give you 8 to 10 questions, open-ended, and you can then, if you're, a conscientious student, you can know well all of those. When it comes to the exam, people take exams differently. I know that. So you have a choice, Scarlett, to take the open-ended first or take the multiple choice first. But whatever part you take, you have to finish it before you go on to the next. So if you want to take the open-ended, some of my students say, oh, I know all of those questions in my head. Let me just get it out of the way. I'm going to type all those answers there. I'm going to take that first. You can even decide, you have a number of questions. You can say, I want to do this question first, then that question first. You decide. When you submit, you finish. You cannot go back to it. Then you can take the multiple choice. As I say, you can go up, back, take a breath, take again, and then you submit. Either way, you have that choice, and then you submit. And then when you finish, you come up to one of the proctors and you check out. Okay? And usually, how much is each exam? Usually they're about the same of each section being about the same. When people are asking me how much is each section worth. Okay? So in this case, is there anything else I need, Kiko, to respond? Any other questions in the chat? I just saw one that it said, how much is each section worth? People
Yeah, it just came up.
Yeah, and that's, and that's it. So there won't be any surprises. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just there. In the multiple choice, you'll get the results by the end of, that day. You'll get your multiple choice. Open-ended I grade, where the other parts, my TAs are the graders, on the small assignments. But this, I'd like to see what you've done. So I do the open end. So by the time you get back from spring break, and that's what I'd like, Frankie, is that You get that out of the way, that you don't think to yourself, gee, after spring break, now I have to take an exam. Take the exam and enjoy yourself, whatever you do. So I like that part. Plus, I like that part that everybody understands the terms. What are we talking about in terms of information systems, technology? And then we will concentrate on the second half of our projects, of our larger project, group projects, where you are going to be AI consultants on a certain area. Some people are going to be, they love entrepreneurship. They even have their ideas of their companies or started companies. What I say is you can do your project on helping entrepreneurs start their businesses and how they should use different products in AI. And this will be your area. And you'll be, what the beauty is, we have an academic partnership with Wix. So we're going to get free domain names. It will be a real project. It will not be BTE student project. It will be your business. So what is the beauty of that? Guess what, Kiko, you can take this with you. And when somebody asks you, what do you know how to do? You'll show it doesn't look like a silly little student project, but something real. And that you can share with other professionals on where every business is now struggling with this. Show me one business that says they know it all, they got to figure it out. They're also lying to you because nobody gets figured it out. Tomorrow, for example, I'm speaking at a best practices for AI, and they're going to have all the cities in South Florida join in trying to figure out how they're using AI for cities. So I'm the advisor for the city of Coral Gables in their IT initiatives and their AI initiatives and their smart city. And I'll be discussing with them is how can these cities, what projects should they start off with? And my contention is what they should start off with is something simple that could possibly be hallucinatory that they don't risk for reality. Because you can do a lot of harm. Think about it. In medical, right? All of a sudden I give you a wrong diagnosis. You know how anybody ever see that AI gets, when you're asking questions and if you know the answers, it gets it wrong? I have, right? It doesn't get it always right. So you want to start off with something that it can do the least harm, but show how it can help and be efficient. So that is it. Any questions about the exam, Frankie? You have any yourself? You got the idea of what it's going to be like?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's it. And we'll spend some time next week, and then we'll also have I have invited to this class the Chief Information Security Officer of the university, and I want him to discuss with us how can we be safe? What are the tips and tricks he knows? Plus, what keeps him up late at night? And how can he help us? And how does AI help him? And how does AI help the hackers? You think, Frankie, if you think about it, those hackers, they don't even have to be so brilliant. AI can help them hack into a place easier than it could be. So it's like fighting on two ends. Okay, anything else that I need to do? And in terms of everybody's camera being, that you didn't get permission, should be up and running? I mean, and Lily will be looking at that as well, right, Lily? That you can see on that. Anything else? So let's start off with what I want to do is make sure is where do we always want to go in Blackboard to figure out what's due, Trey? Is the what's due section, right? So let's go there first and then proceed. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And you see my screen. And what do you see here? In this case, Scarlett, what do you see on my screen?
I see YouTube recording.
Right. We see what? Our streaming, is
Or
it
like
streaming
yeah, the
live?
Zoom.
Yeah, yes, it's streaming live. Lily is next to me. And then we got Jonas and Scarlett and Jake. So that's working well. I know that's available. So now I'm going to go to my case section. I'm always going to go to what's due. And I got mine. What's due tells me what's due. So I want to remind everybody what's due is, unless you got special permission because you have a class conflict, is I want everybody to attend this Friday, which is in 2 days, at noon for only an hour. Attend this Wix webinar. And my intention is that everybody get a code that we can use for our project. And that code is valuable because if you go to register on the link here, this is launch your site with Wix Editor and register. You notice it's this Friday from noon, and it's noon to 1. I don't think they're going to go past 1 o'clock. And when you register, you can see that they have that registration. And this is my key right here. Everybody see this? If you attend the full session and register with your student email. So everybody, I always tell you to register with something and flipping in and out. But for this Wix seminar, in order to get the code, which is our main purpose, is you need to register with your .edu account. You'll receive, which is fantastic, a 1-year free Wix premium code. Plus, you'll get a 1-year domain via email by the end of the week. I don't know what week they're talking about. Or are they talking about this week or next week? So if you mind, Lily, can you do me a favor? And if they have like Q&A, ask them when, be so kind, and ask them when will we get the code so we can anticipate that. Okay. Others, yeah. So you know what I mean? I'm sure they'll have like a Q&A or something, is when can we expect, and you can even frame it in night time. I'm so excited to start Wix. I want to know when I'm going to get it rather than being a little bit selfish. Hey, that's the only reason I came to your party. Is where's the code? I don't want to be so obvious and blatant. Okay, so you can see that, and then supposedly you get your materials and slides afterwards, but that's my key. Plus, you can look at it, learning about Wix, which is important. Plus, what I'd like us to do as basically going to be AI consultants is how are they using Zoom to gain customers, right? And what are they using? Are they using it any different than we are? So as I said, we can look at that. So that's number 1 on that. So if I go back to what's due, that's the main thing for the 20th. Then next Monday, before class, I want you to have read chapter 4, which is the information security, and then do the adaptive assignments, the Wiley adaptive assignment that you always do, and then under quizzes, chapter 4. Now, I also give you an article here. And what I'd like you to do with this article is I'd like you to open it up in a new tab and take the URL, right? This is the URL, and save it. I'm going to copy it and save it. You can save it to a notepad or anything to save it, because I'd like you to even put it into Notebook LM as a source. And if you look at this article, which is really a pretty good article, I think. This is Ava. This is my little chat box. Welcome back. She knows I'm here, right? So anyways, on this hypersecurity in higher education, this is what we need to think about. I'm using higher education because we're all familiar with it. Later on, it could be, you know, financial services. It could be marketing agencies. But basically, anytime we talk about cybersecurity, nothing is completely secure. There's always going to be risks. And the idea is how much can we tolerate those risks? And it depends a lot of times is how valuable is my data. My PowerPoints, I can assure you, I don't think are valuable, that I don't care if somebody, you know, takes my PowerPoints. But you rest assured in our health centers, where we have hospitals and even things like where we have Leonard, they do surgeries. You better be sure that I am concerned about risk, that I don't want some perpetrators closing down our servers. So we have to think about the risk. We have to think about the best practices. And there's frameworks that a number of industries have to follow. So you can see here, they talk about college and universities. They talk about what is cybersecurity for higher education, that definitely we can think about it. We need policies, we need practices that protect from digital threats, right? Those threats can come from people, maliciously or unintentional. They can come from our data. They can come from teaching, research, administration, and how do we protect it? What are the risks in higher education? You can see ransomware. Did anybody hear about, you know, what is it from NBC Today Show? Anybody hear about that? What's her name? Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie. Her mother disappeared. They think maybe it's ransom. What do they basically, if it's ransom, what do they think then, Trey? Some guy takes basic, what is ransomware? Is basically they take the university's hospital servers, they infiltrate that, and they take control of the server. And you say, Trey, who cares? Tomorrow they do surgery and they have to find out who are they going to do surgery on it, and they can't even go into their systems to find who's supposed to come scheduled for surgery. They don't even know what patients, they don't even know what they're supposed to do. Do I have to basically search the left arm, the right arm, the ankle, right? How horrible is that? So basically that ransomware is what universities do, and all corporations, is they transfer the risk. Where do they transfer the risk to? To another party. So Frankie, do you drive?
Yeah, I do.
What is required a lot of times if you have a car, whether it's your parents' car or yours, what do you need to have in order to get into the car? How do you transfer risk?
Driver's license.
Well, you have driving, but how do you transfer the risk? If somebody hits
Insurance.
you, insurance,
Insurance, yeah.
right? Insurance is transferring the risk, right? Rather than somebody and their crazy drivers down here. You agree with me? Really cuckoo drivers, right? And every time I get on the road, you never know. And a lot of these people, guess what? You have insurance, but they don't. Right? And even though they don't, you know, where am I going to go? So I have to transfer the risk, and I do not take the whole burden. I transfer the risk. Do you think something like the university has insurance for ransomware being attacked? What do you think, Kiko? You want to repeat the question?
Yeah, sure.
What's the question?
Oh, I was asking if, no, sorry. Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I'll repeat the question. Frankie, did you hear my question?
Yeah, you were asking if the school has insurance, or the school would have something like
The
that
insurance for what?
for
Ransomware?
Yeah, for
Ransomware, yeah.
ransomware. What do you
I'd
think?
assume- I'd assume they do.
Yeah. Why? Because if they get shut down, is that going to be a financial disaster for the university? For, let's say they cut it down and now we can't get to Blackboard. It's not so horrible. And even it's not so horrible, guess what, Kiko? If we had to cancel a class, it's not, think about it. But if you had to cancel a day of surgery, right? And some of those surgeries are immediate, right? Somebody has a heart attack, or even if it's cosmetic, or even if it's, voluntary, it's the university losing money. They could be losing millions, right? Somebody can't
Yeah.
get to their MRI machine. Think about it, millions. So they have insurance in case they get attacked. And how do you think these attackers want in terms of money? It used to be in ransomware, go under this tree, off of I-95 and put a sack of money underneath a tree, And how do they do it now? You think, Kiko?
Probably either wired money or cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency. They don't do wired money, right? It's not putting that money in my bank account, right? It's basically they do crypto, and what usually is like the standard for crypto? What type
Bitcoin.
of Bitcoin? Do you think the university has a Bitcoin account?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And I'm not focusing on this university or another university, but especially all hospitals do it. And I'd say close to 100% of the hospitals pay it. They'll be asking a lot of times, but it's hospitals are notorious not to have good security. And what hospitals end up doing is they'll say, give us $50,000 or frankly, 100,000. And guess what? One surgery can be that amount, right? So that's nothing compared to them. It's a cost benefit analysis. So they have this, they have what they call phishing and social engineering. People are basically schmoozing and trying to get information, being friendly to you. They have data breaches, what they call distributed denial of service attacks. IoT stands for Internet of Things. BYOD means bring your own devices, which a lot of people have. You bring your own device, right? You bring the laptop to the university. They don't provide you with a laptop, only in the lab, right? And then they have shadow IT. Users may deploy unsanctioned tools or services. People don't follow all the rules, right? And then they talk about what are the best practices. What do you basically need? And one of the things is they have to teach you of ongoing training. They have to basically conduct, those in accounting, right? It's regular risk assessment and what are the audits. And they basically have to say that do we have MFA, multi-factor authentication? We do. Why? Because they want to make sure that we put in it harder if somebody's trying to get into the system, protect sensitive data with backup, and this is key. Frameworks, there's something called an NSIT, which is basically, it's a national infrastructure for standards. And basically in that, what are you supposed to do? Protect my data, detect when there's a attack, how do I respond when I'm attacked, and how do I recover from that attack? They need to set this up. It can't be willy-nilly. If you think about it, Scarlett, the universe can, we get attacked. Oh, we get attacked. They don't even know when they're attacked. So they have to set up some policies. What happens? We have to basically identify that. We have to protect our data. And when we're attacked, what are we going to do? We have to respond. We have to recover. We have to figure out we bypass. And these are all standards that they give as guidelines to companies. One is called ISO. You'll hear about it. A lot of times you're in accounting, you'll hear about it, this. One is called FERPA. Who cares what FERPA is? It's Family Educational Right to Privacy Act. Basically, universities have to follow that, right? When you're part of that university, when you're a student, you have, in the United States, they basically have to protect the privacy of student educational records. They can't publish, Frankie, from the registrar, all the grades that you had. They are supposed to protect that. Not every schmo can come and say, how's Frankie doing? It's none of their business how Frankie's doing, right? So guiding how data can be accessed, how it can be shared. And then there's something called the Graham-Leach-Biley Act. And guess what? All my finance students, all those financial aid information, they have to require safeguards for my personal financial data. They have no business knowing, frankly, what your parents' financial status is, right? They have to keep that private. And if they violate that, they are in, basically, they can be in trouble. So there's other ones that do special tools, and these are, if you're in Europe, they basically have what the general data protection regulation is. In Europe, for data, they're much more strict than we are in the United States. The European Union, a lot of times Google and Amazon and Microsoft are basically penalized because they are not protecting data, personal data. And then what are the trends, right? That they basically can do those trends is what's happening in higher education. And basically, this is amazing. Look at this. Phishing continues to be the most common entry point for cyber attacks in higher education. Data shows that 97% of institutions experience a phishing breach, increased threats to intellectual property, governance. Remember, we talked about governance. We have to put in rules. We have to put in what's our risk management, and also our suppliers. We get suppliers. Are they safe? And they come in. And we, of course, we have budget per se. And this one I would not worry about. This is just a company. I just like their article. Their company is saying, hey, we can help you. A lot of companies. So this is a commercial. But basically, look at what they do. When it's a commercial, they are competing with the competitors. And what do I love about this? Look at this. A cybersecurity platform built to address networks of higher education. And look at this. Everybody throws this in. SentinelOne, it could be any company, provides AI-powered, autonomous protection across endpoints, how to basically get into the systems, identities, cloud, right, workloads to defend against cyber attacks while supporting academic and research operations. So what I said here, where is it? Was, you remember that notebook LM that you needed to sign up for? In that notebook LM, I'll go to one which says information security and threats. In that, what do you have on this side is you put your sources in. What I did, and notice, I even put the URL. You remember this URL for the article? I put it in for the sources. And what you can do even for studying is after you add it, you can uncheck the other sources and just say, give me Notebook LM an overview of just this article. Or you can get all the other articles, or I said, you know what, just give me of this PowerPoint. You can decide. The only thing, what I said before, is you have to have it as a PDF and file save in PowerPoint to a PDF. And so what you can do here is you can get an audio overview, generate an AI podcast. You can do a video overview of an explainer video. So if you did the video overview, look how nicely is this. You can have an explainer where you have a structured, comprehensive overview, or you can say, hey, I just want a bite-size overview. And then you can even say, how do I want it to look? Which is amazing. And then you can say, what should the AI host focus in on? And you may say, I want to focus in on for students to understand how to prepare for an exam. And I wanted also to give examples in a university environment. You can, just like you do in ChatGPT, you can tell it what you want to focus in upon. And what I like here is when you look at this, right? I love this part. You see this interactive mode? So I like to click on this interactive mode. Let me make this a little bit wider. And notice when I play it, this is based on my sources. And listen to this, which is incredible. I get two hosts and they basically discuss.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're not just talking about technology. We're talking about the invisible battleground that really defines modern life.
It really does.
It's the reason your bank requires, two different codes to log in, and why one single click can shut down a national pipeline. We are unpacking information security.
It really is the underlying story of the 21st century. We tend to think of security as this static thing, like a lock on a door.
Right.
But in the digital world, the door is constantly moving, the lock is changing shape, and the person trying to pick it, well, it might be a teenager in a basement.
Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to join.
That's the terrifying.
Hey there. Want to share your thoughts on this?
Yes, I want you to discuss how this security is protected in a university environment.
And that is absolutely where we're at.
You want to know how all of this applies to securing systems in the real world.
Exactly. We need to move from the abstract threats to the tangible defense control.
And I want you to focus in on a university environment. Can you give examples?
Okay, let's unpack this. That is a fantastic focus.
Focusing on higher education, that's where the paradox we just mentioned is most confusing.
Universities are kind of a perfect storm for cybersecurity risk.
They hold massive amounts of sensitive data student records, financial details, and research IP.
Plus, they have limited budgets and constantly revolving doors of users.
Students, faculty, staff, visitors, the diverse user base increases the risk dramatically.
You're dealing with open networks, public labs, and tons of personal devices connected.
So what I want you to do is the same thing for your tutorial, is ask relevant questions. And I would like you even to focus in on a university environment, because we all understand that university environment. So even when you have those open-ended questions, you can use the university as examples. So you have this, you have a brief here, you have a number of student guide briefs. What I think is just incredible is, you remember, you can do an infographic. So it can produce just an infographic. And this is on the article that I asked you to read. Isn't this incredible that it put these colors in? I'm just so amazed, where it says the cybersecurity risk and resilience in higher education. What's the growing threat landscape? Surge in ransomware, attacks across the education increased dramatically. We now know what that ransomware is. The average breach cost is 3.7 million. Data breaches in higher education carry a heavy financial reputational toll. Phishing, nearly every institution reports phishing incidents, making it the primary entry point. And you can see. So this is basically, you can think about it, is incredible that when you think about it. And when I like here is what you can see here is you can do study guides. You can do, of course, quizzes and information, concise guide. Look at this, that it creates from the information security, the introduction, what's important, the definition. Remember, we'll need to know the difference. What's the difference between a threat coming from the outside? How well are we exposed? How vulnerable I am? Vulnerability factors. Are we in an interconnected environment? We sure are. Every time we go into our network, we're having smaller and faster devices. And guess what? Hackers basically don't need a lot. AI helps them, right? Unintentional versus deliberate threats. Unintentional means we as humans make errors, and that's social engineering, right? So I have my human errors, right? From all of this careless surfing, I just click on some questionable emails, gets me going. I click on a link. My computer then gets corrupted. We're careless. Social engineering, what does it mean? That some folks out there can manipulate employees, and you can go on and on when you're looking at that. What I like about this that you can see is that you get a student guide. Let me just move this a bit. So if I move this in that way, a student's guide to InfoSec. So instead of joining in,
Okay, so your whole university life is online, right? Let's talk about keeping it secure. That one student login gets you into everything. But have you ever wondered how safe it really is? I mean, think about it. Your grades, your schedule, it's all out there, which creates some weak spots. So a threat is the what if, and exposure is the so what if that thing actually happens. And you know, most issues aren't from some super hacker. They start with simple, everyday mistakes. Yeah, these things seem harmless, but they're the exact openings that attackers are looking for. This isn't about hacking computers. It's about hacking people.
so you can see here, social engineering, an attack where the perpetrator uses social skills to trick you in providing confidential information. So in that case, you can see that being done. So you get the guide, you get the open campus, and you have the timeline, and then you have a study guide. These are nice. That basically are flashcards for each chapter. Everybody learns differently on their own, you know, in terms of, you can see opening, what is social engineering? I click on it. An attack where perpetrators use social skills to trick employees into providing confidential information. Why is social engineering considered particularly dangerous threat? You know, I can go back, you know, just click on it. It exploits human trust and psychology, which are difficult to defend with technical controls. I always need some kind of controls, whatever the types of controls I have that I can proceed. If I want more information, I can do explain. And guess what? Just like ChatGPT or others, it will give me an explanation. At the end of this, I can copy it. I can share typing. I can say, how can you put in a question? Finding relevant information and analyzing, synthesizing my controls. And it just basically implementing ongoing training programs gives me more and more information. I can tell it I want it to be briefer. I can tell it I want it to be more in depth. And I can go back to all my sources, right? That what I do. I can go to my studio here. And you can see here I can do quizzes. I can do a slide deck and some of the student guides that I can do, my securing the on process, why hackers, and then I can do the security quiz. Gives me multiple choice questions. Which of the following would be classified as a communication control within an organization's security framework? So they're talking about communications, employee background checks, virtual private networks, fences and gates, biometric. It's talking about communication. This would be my physical controls, right? And let's say I pick B, right? And they said, that's right. Communication controls focus on securing data, gives me the correct items. And if I want more explanations, I can go and it gives me more explanations. So what do you think, Kiko?
I think it's great.
And you can use it based on, I think, for the learning. It's great for students. It's fabulous, right?
Oh, 100%. Like I'm actually kind of surprised we can do all that stuff. I'm gonna use it more probably.
Yes, but I'm just saying for our assignment and what I'm doing for the homework assignment, let's study for the exam with it. Rather than picking some other esoteric, why not use it for our exam? And then you have each person in your group pick another one. So that's what I'd like you to do for tonight is make the folder, right? So if I look at it, Kiko, before we even leave for tonight, is if I looked at the folder, right, this is my regular one. This is my assignment and groups. Follow what group 0 is, Kiko, and just already have it in your group. Create a folder, you know how to do that, called AI Powered Research Assistant. And then put, Kiko, even put your name in it. And you don't want chapter 1. No one wants chapter 1 because Anastasia already did it. Put one of your chapters. It's either TG1, TG2, right? Chapter 4 or 5, right? Each person do it. And then basically follow what it is. So Kiko, let's say you chose chapter 4. I'm just making it up, right? Then you would do chapter 4 with your name, right? And have your Zoom, because you're going to record it in Zoom. You're going to do an audio link that Notebook's going to give you. And you want to make sure that your audio link and your Notebook video link are shareable. Because guess what, Kiko? By default, it makes it private. So you can see it, but no one else can see it. So you're going to get points taken off because your other group members can't. So what you want to make sure, Kiko, is when everybody has it, that you tell a buddy in your group, hey, can you check my links if you can see it? Because guess what? You can see it and you don't even know if it's public or private. So I want to make sure that everybody has their audio and video links. You understand that, Kiko? That everybody can see it. So if I clicked on this and said open a new tab, is this correct, Kiko? Do you hear me, Kiko?
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Does that look good? What does
No,
it say? No.
you need access. Yeah.
And then I have to request access and you have to give it to me. You want your TAs to do that. Not even that, you want to be able to see what somebody else did, right? Because that way you can do TG1 and they're doing TG1 and TG2. So you will need to check that and click on it. You don't see it, but somebody else will see it. So when you click on it and it's your own, Kiko, you will see the audio just like I did, right? And you'll see the video. So it's important that as a group, you get it like a buddy in your group and they say, let's check each other. You understand? Because that's the problem. When you're within that your Google account, it will allow you to see it. But I'm not your Google account. So those are areas in which you want to check because it looks good. Didn't that look good? And when Anastasia did it, she was working alone, so she didn't have anybody in the group to check it. But I told her, leave it there so we can see is what not to do. Because a lot of times we learn what's not to do better than from our mistakes rather than, and what do I want to do? I want to document. So if you have a link that you can't share, you put non-shareable link, and then you and then you go back and make a shareable link and be able to tell the difference. So even when you make mistakes in my class, I want you to document them. I don't even want you to erase it. Everybody understand how I like this because it really shows you AI research. And if you're a business, you say, oh, I'm just going to use it as a student. But no, I know a number of businesses where I expose them to it and they are in love with it. They have to do so many readings. They have to be prepared for a meeting. I have to know my clients. They put in all those sources that they can look intelligent in the next meeting. Because this is really what you have to do is you're going to have to do more, I think, presentation skills, more to defend your position. Why are you choosing this, Kiko? This is what you do. And you say, my goodness, I have so many things to do. You're right. Put it in there. And while I'm driving home, I can listen to the podcast in traffic, in Miami traffic, or wherever you are in the world. You got it? Makes sense, everybody? So I think we're ready to go. You know what I mean? So I would even do this now rather than, there was a confusion. Oh, when is this? What is that? And then the next is claim a chapter already and put it in. You know what I mean? And it really doesn't matter what chapter it is. If I were you, I would take chapter 4 because a lot of you hadn't read it yet. You know what I mean? So in this case, you'll have it. Those that are here already, I'd grab that, and then maybe 5, the ones that you feel like you're not as comfortable with. But it doesn't really matter, because then the next week, Kiko, is what? Get together with your group and share with your group, right? Just like you did with the screen recorders. But in this time, evaluate this product and see where it could be improved. There are a lot of competitors now trying to get this. This has really gone viral when first time. And guess what? It was somebody's idea. Somebody in Google in their lab said, oh, let's try this out. And they couldn't believe when they did that podcast how fabulous that was. And then you can join in and you can be a part of it. Incredible. And then people were then even doing it of themselves. Give your LinkedIn, give all your resume, Kiko, what you've done, have it discuss Kiko. Tell me about Kiko, and you have a podcast already. And then you can join in and say, oh, you forgot to add, I did this. Or you forgot to add, these are my strengths. Do it on yourself. And that's what people were doing. They were publishing those podcasts talking about themselves and their accomplishments. Incredible. How long does it take? Nothing. Just put your text in, put other things that you've done, and everybody sounds great because they make it positive, Incredible. Useful. That's what I want from this class, is you can take it with you. And then you can teach others. And then you have something to do. Okay. So what's up, Lily? Anything else you want to emphasize to this fine group of people that have stayed at this hour?
No, I think we're all set.
Okay. I think we're all set. Reach out to Lily is your lead. He says you're grader. Right?
I'll do attendance.
Great idea. And stay with me if you have questions, concerns. Let me stop. But remember,